cool.
All right, let's get this rolling. The show.
Could I ask a question first?
Yes, of course.
The team members,
Yes.
are they, so they're all currently in MLS program, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Do all of them work in a public library right now?
I don't believe all of them. I know I do. Lo, you do too as well, right?
No, I do not.
You don't? Okay. I know Dana does too, and then there's another team member, Nancy, she does as well, but yeah, I'd say a majority of us do.
Okay, so all right, just so I know, like, to cut down on the lingo.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'll try to explain as much as I can.
Okay.
But if you need to follow up with me after this, if you have questions, whatever, just reach out.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I guess I will begin. Okay. All right. For the past 5 to 10 years, can you describe the nature of changes and trends in the environment, resources, services, products, and clientele for this library?
There's a ton, right? Because well, we had a pandemic.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the way I kind of categorize everything now is pre and post. Pre-pandemic, like COVID times, and then kind of now is like sort of post-pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right before the pandemic, we were already in our master planning stages where we were sort of looking to the future as to what we wanted our library to look like. So we were working with architects, strategic team, and trying to identify some of the service points and services that we would be providing for the future.
Right.
And of course, a lot of it is community, communal feelings, so like couches and removing a lot of the shelving, creating more seating spaces, maker areas, classroom style spaces, meeting rooms,
Kind of like the row of tables kind of out.
Yes. So and that was happening district wide, not just here at this location. And for your teammates, just some background. I don't know if you shared, like, Sahara West Library is one of the larger branches in our district. We have an art museum, we have a business hub. We're on 2 floors. We're kind of a high profile branch. We have a lot of events that occur here. We've had the governor here. We have business fairs, job fairs. We get used quite a bit from the community. So we're sort of already ahead of the game a little bit, just by the nature of the vast size of the building. And we tend to be kind of like a destination branch where people come to this branch from all parts of the valley. Because of the larger size, larger collection, more meeting areas, more space. So with that in mind, like, the pandemic kind of threw us for a loop because we had to scrap everything. So we were thinking in the future, and then COVID hit, and now it's like, okay, we're just trying to survive. So if any of your teammates were in libraries, they can kind of relate to this, where the goal was just to get back open and to provide services to the community. So it was kind of starting from scratch and not really being in that position before, sort of like making it up as we go along. So a lot of the initiatives that were given to us, some of them had to be tweaked on the fly, just based on our needs, the community needs. So it's kind of like we were trending up, and then COVID hit, and then we were just afloat. And now we're kind of trying to get our way back to being visible to our community and getting people into libraries again.
That was going to be a small follow-up that I had. It's like, do you feel like we're at a place now where we can kind of get back on track?
Yes. So just another little piece that I wanted to mention is that we've had leadership change, administrative leadership change in the last few years. So when COVID hit, our director left, And then they hired a new director in the reopening phase of libraries. So the new leader we have is very pro program, pro partnership, pro community. So in addition to just getting our library back up, it was also a matter of connecting with members in the community. So it's kind of been a whirlwind to like try to do all of these different, facets of librarianship. And again, now we're kind of in a place where some of us have not been before. So it's leading the team, hearing their concerns, tapping into their interests, allowing them the space to share their concerns, frustrations, ideas, and so that we can keep moving forward. But yeah, I mean, aside from the pandemic and the administrative leadership changes, I would say that what you're seeing now is, as people tried to stay connected during the pandemic, they relied on a lot of e-resources, and definitely our circulation stats have taken a hit. So I don't know if this happens in other libraries, but you can definitely see it in a library of our size, where there's not as many items on the shelves. They look a little bare. It's a constant concern I get from customers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's funny that customers say that. That's compared to other libraries, it's, flush.
Yeah, but for the regulars that have been with us for many years, they know what it looked like before years ago. So it's a balance, right? It's trying to still have something for the folks that do come in, and still being forward moving with technology and all the E and the 3D and all of the things we have in the pipeline.
Okay. All right. I guess I will move on to the second. Thank you for.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Great answer. Okay. What are the past and present organizational climates? What are the leadership style and organizational processes for decision making? Considering both the formal organizational structure and the informal kind of way of dealing with leadership.
Yeah. So this one. So one of the things, just to clarify, so we have an administrative team, and we have administrative departments. They're the ones that sort of provide the directives, strategic initiatives, and at the branch level, we kind of take that in. We're responsible for ensuring that rules of conduct are being followed, that policies are being followed. But we don't determine those at the branch level. It usually comes from admin down. We're responsible for the outcomes in our strategic initiatives. So we do have the autonomy to kind of create our own programming. We do get support from some of those administrative teams. So it's kind of like a two-part question. So there's like the global district organizational structure, and then there's like at the branch level that I'm responsible for on one level ensuring that what admin wants us to do gets done, and then working with the team to come up with our own program ideas and ways of doing things within the structure that admin has provided to us.
Okay. For example, like with the signature program.
So the directive is have a signature program once a year, and it's usually a multi-generational program, something that the branch is interested in doing, that the community would connect with. And it's supposed to kind of be fun, but it can be a little stressful because you're incorporating your entire branch. Whereas normally there might be a YPL program or an adult program, or maybe our scheduling, community engagement team will be involved with the program. This is one where it's all hands on deck.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of how that works. It's sort of like we're giving the what it is they want us to do, and then at the branch level, we kind of come up with the idea and get it done. Yeah, so it might mean going back and forth with different departments about budget, or would it be okay if we had a food truck, or what do we need to get certain things done? We would then refer back to our admin teams.
I see.
Okay.
So
let me just go through this real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. Unless you have some other. Okay.
I think that's
okay.
Great for that question. Still there, Lo? Just checking.
Yeah, I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I really like when you were talking about just kind of like being more community oriented, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing at some point.
I'm sorry, Lo. It's still kind of choppy.
Did you do the chat?
The chat?
Do you guys have chat on there?
Yeah, there should be a chat feature. Yeah.
Or like a Q&A?
Okay, does this work there or?
I wish you can type in her questions.
Okay. Yeah, well, if you can hear us, we'll try this. I have the chat open. So if you have any questions or anything during the interview, like any follow-ups or whatever you want, I think we might have to go with that. I'm sorry.
That's fine. 1 second. Yeah.
Oh man, this is so choppy. Yeah.
Understandable. I can't fix my internet.
Okay, well, I guess I'll move on to the next one in that case.
Okay.
Because my number one priority is I don't want to waste your time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
she can just whenever, just pop it in the chat.
Yeah.
And I can answer at the end or.
Okay. All right. So the next question I'll ask is, substance use in public libraries is an ongoing concern. What policies and programs have you enacted to respond to this ongoing crisis?
I mean, I'm aware of it. I've gone, or I've viewed a few webinars on it. Just as a personal interest, because yeah, there are people in crisis. I will say we've not really seen it at this location too much. We have seen paraphernalia, people doing marijuana type things, but not maybe some syringes, but not like a full on 911 crisis. On a district level, we don't really have anything in place specifically for that. It is basically would be like under any type of medical situation where someone's in a crisis, we would call 911, because on all levels we're not medical experts or trained. The only thing we are trained for is CPR, if you're a person in charge, or a PIC. And we do have AED machines in our facilities, but aside from that, we don't have Narcan.
Oh, okay.
We've not ever been trained in that. I don't know if we will ever be, or I feel like that might come down later. You never know. I know there are like I think it's San Francisco, PL, Denver, PL. I think they're more ahead of the game with that in terms of responding to that crisis. I think for us, we don't have a central library, and I don't know. I feel like in some of the larger cities, like when you have a central library, that's sort of kind of might be seen in those places. So
central as in like geographically, or like mothership?
Like they identify as a central location. So previously, before coming to this district, I worked in the Midwest and I was at a central library. So we're kind of like the main hub. It's usually the largest collection. It reminds me of Sahara West, which is probably why I'm here, because it it reminds me of like my roots of being in the central library. It just, it's sort of, it kind of is geographically like at the center of a city. That's why it's central. It's called Central Branch, because it is kind of the go-to place. But yeah, I mean, I do think at some point we'll probably have to address it, but right now we just treat it as any other crisis. As if somebody fell and is unable to get up, or somebody says they are having chest pains and they need 911. It's the same thing. We just would call 911.
Okay. All right. These questions for later. Okay. Okay. So the second question is, what policies are implemented to keep staff and patrons safe from COVID-19 transmission? I know that's kind of behind us, but what did we kind of do?
Oh, like, yeah, like right now we're not really doing it, but during the reopening, we basically followed all local, state, and federal mandates so that we were compliant. Because I know that there were compliance, what do they call them? Compliance?
Oh, the auditors?
Auditors that would go out. So if we weren't enforcing the mask mandates, they would cite. They were citing locations who were not enforcing the different mandates. So we always posted the capacity limits. We ensured people were following the mask mandate when it was enforced. When we were coming back, we had limited services, so we would kind of barrier off some of the areas. And so we were like runners running to get what people needed.
Yeah.
We had, gosh, it's hard to kind of go back.
I know. I kind of,
you know,
kind of don't want to.
It's almost like, is this real?
Yeah.
You know, we did quarantining of items. We based it on whatever the researcher was at the time.
Yeah.
What other districts were doing at the time. I think it was a 3-day quarantine. And
I remember the boxes.
And the boxes,
we
yes.
didn't get done with those until like 5 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
We just get the all day.
It was like you're boxing, and then you know you're just only gonna like a few days later unbox it.
Yeah.
I mean, the district was really good about providing PPE, so we always had gloves, and if you wanted to wear the apron, mask, alcohol, so that we could have spray bottles to spray down surfaces. They did do a district-wide spraying of a what was it? It was
it was like I can't remember the
it
name,
was like
but
a
I do remember that,
surface barrier on all high-touch surfaces. We also implemented day janitorial services, which we had not had before. We also increased some of our guards. So yeah, there was a huge response. We also had plexiglass barriers at the desk to kind of shield us from the public. We implemented curbside services, and that still continues, which is ironic because Becky and Circulation, we had already talked about it prior to the pandemic. So PLA was, I think PLA was in February, and there was a program on offering curbside services, which I didn't go to it, but I had seen something online. I saw the PowerPoint slides. So we were already talking about it for like our senior population that has difficulty coming in, but still wants to stay connected and are voracious readers.
Yeah.
We wanted to find a way where we could still provide service. So when the pandemic hit, that was one of the things I moved up to admin, was like, hey, what do you think about doing curbside service? And when we first started coming back, that's the first thing we offered to the public was curbside and phone reference.
Okay. I remember those days. I was part here, I think, for a chunk of that.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good moments, some good team building moments. You know, because it's like we were coming back at a time where other entities were not
Yeah.
You know, we were kind of coming back with like Walmart and Target and like the grocery stores and like I don't even, the schools weren't even open like yet. You know, our other two like Boulder City, North Las Vegas, Henderson, they weren't up and running. So our local nearby library districts were not up and running. So we were sort of like the only place where you could go inside a library for a while.
I remember that. Oh boy.
So on one hand, it was sort of like we really were providing a service, a community service, but at the same time, I was scared because we were faced with the public. People were dealing with their own illnesses, personal loss, just the other everyday type of issues, plus the pandemic, plus having to come to work. So I mean, I think back and I think, oh my gosh, you really did do something amazing. We did it scared. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
We did it scared, but we did it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on from the past towards the future. Next question. Do you feel that climate change poses any specific challenges to your library or library system? Is the library system making any infrastructure, structural allowances, or any adjustments to severe temperature swings, water scarcity, rising temperatures, or anything like that? I know the weather's been getting a bit insane here.
Yeah, it is wild. It's like I've not seen this before.
Like all this, like the rain and stuff that we had this year.
There's like snowflakes for like 3 days in a row. The wind is out of control. We really haven't hit like the top temperatures we see occasionally. You know, I like right now is good, but it took a while for us to get here, right?
Yeah.
Like we were still wearing jackets like a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about this informally, I think, as just residents, concern, you know, citizens. This would be really more in line for like our administrative general services team to kind of be thinking about our buildings and how, if they can make any changes to, I don't know, conserve more water, or, you know, I've always said we should have solar panels on all of our buildings, you know, but a lot of these things, it's not like I have the money or the authority to make that happen. And if we don't have it, there's reasons why. Because there's another branch with like maybe their HVAC is going down, they gotta pay for that. You know, you gotta get an AC going, just basic necessities.
Yeah.
Right. But I think with our new buildings like Centennial Hills branch and Windmill, and I'm guessing probably West Las Vegas when it gets done, that they'll be like Centennial and Windmill, I think, are LEED certified buildings. So all of the new buildings, I think, will have that kind of resourcefulness in mind.
What does that mean? Am I asking?
So it means like they automatically turn off lights in the rooms and nobody's in there. So it's a lot of conservation.
Right.
And like the materials they use, I think, may play a factor in that as well as what leads them to certification. I'm not an expert in that, so I don't really know. And not having been part of a build, I don't really know much about it, but that is my guess.
Is there a process to like retrofit an older building such as this one with kind of stuff like that?
I don't know if it would cost, what the cost would be, if it would be too much to retro or to just start over. Or like just as we build more buildings, focus it on that. I think with the older buildings, we're just trying to like, okay, we could replace the carpet this time, or we can do a touch up on your paint, or you know, maybe replace the desk, or maybe replace some furniture. But you know, like for Sahara, we're structurally okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are starting to show age, like the pipes.
Yeah.
And plus hard water that is affecting a lot of the plumbing. At least I feel like in this building. But yeah, I don't think there's much we can do to for our building unless you never know, like if at the federal level or state level, they say, okay, all public buildings have to have solar or something like that, or we're gonna
some kind of grant or something.
exactly, or there's a new initiative where buildings can get solar. And the other thing is, I don't know, like if like our building would be set up for it, or some of our buildings are certain shapes.
It's very peculiar.
Yeah,
building.
yeah. So I don't know much about that.
I could see. I mean, I think that'd be really cool. That big kind of like dirt kind of like area by the side of a, just like
yes, Eric. We've
lines
got a whole list of things you want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you can take pictures, send it to your to the team so that they can see what we're talking about.
Great view of the dirt area from okay. That's also a good question in this category. What internal dialogue, if any, is happening in the library regarding programming choices regarding cultural areas, like the drag queen story times, the guns in the library going on to East Las Vegas in a couple months. Has the library internal guidelines or policies changed in response to these?
Not these. I think a lot of these conversations happen at like a administrative level, and usually they are kind of encompassed with committees, and so within that committee, they probably are having more of these discussions. So like the drag queen story time, I think that occurred at Clark County. Right. It did get videoed, it got uploaded to YouTube. A lot of times it's people without kids. They're just coming out to express their opinions. So what I saw was that the security kind of divided accessibility so that people could still enter the library, whether they're there for that or not, and then separate the sides. So I mean, we do try to conduct business as usual, even if things tend to arise. So I mean, there's just so many areas on this. Let me just say that our public is very opinionated. They tell us their opinions about everything every day. So it doesn't really have to be anything that's happening in the library. People are just going to express their views. I'm finding people do not have filters as much as before. And they will tell you how they feel about the government, about the economy, about how they had to walk so far from the parking lot, that it's hot in here, it's cold in here, it's loud, just everything. They will express some opinion about something. So we just, I don't think just speaking on my own, I'm not, not speaking for, I don't speak for like the district or anything like that, but I just feel like we're really here to provide service for everyone. And everyone looks different, thinks different. So we have to be available to be of service to everyone, right? So I know as staff, my mindset has always been like at work, I'm just kind of vanilla. I'm like a blank sheet of paper. I try not to bring any of my viewpoints to the service areas, because that's not what I'm here for. And yes, there are times people say things that are offensive to me. That's not my belief or how I vote, but that's, I try not to, I just have to like focus on trying to find what it is this person wants and the resource they want or the item they want, and not have an opinion about it. And just, conduct the interaction as if it's a person who does agree with everything that I agree with. And it's hard sometimes because people will challenge you on a lot of things. The way that you look, on the way that you present yourself. Again, they're going to try to disarm you and, put their opinions out there. So that's kind of the way I operate. And I hope that everything that we do is not, I don't want anyone to feel like we're trying to either advocate or take a side, that we're just trying to present all of the views. And yes, you may see a display, for Heritage Month or LGBTQ. And it's not, for the person who may be coming in for the first time and then they see that, it's not like, that's it. It's like we do this all the time for all the different,
Right.
types of, groups that we want to highlight and maybe give a little more exposure to.
Okay.
And before
Yes,
I
yes.
move from that real quick, or let me see if this is the place I want to talk about this. Was there a question about book bans?
Book bans, yes.
Yes, okay, and then I'll hold off on.
We can move over to that one if you want to.
Oh, no, I was gonna say something about that, but I'll wait till it comes up.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so I'll lead into the next one. Are we still good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay. The library has a program called the Cell Phone Lending Program, which helps those experiencing homeless with low income. Are there any other programs that are offered to help the homeless population? And I know that's kind of like that was an admin thing that they kind of did, but is there anything here at Sahara West that we're kind of doing?
Well, I don't, it's not like we have anything that's like advertises for the homeless. So it is just, I think it's something that we kind of encompass in our services, but it's not like so the way that we say, oh, this program's for kids or this is for all ages. We don't say this is for the homeless. So some of the things that are happening district-wide right now are things like the 3 square meals for youth and seniors. So it's more like a, senior social lunch versus come get a free meal if you're homeless. You know what I mean? It's like we're not highlighting the unhoused population. We're just trying to put the word out that there's an opportunity for a free meal for youth or for seniors. And if they in our community, 3 squares known as the food bank. So I think just having that as a partner, people are aware that they provide food and meals. So it's a way to provide a meal with dignity, I would say, without emphasizing that they're unhoused. And then there's also one thing that I think is kind of neat is when someone is in house, they can still get a library card. It's just like a no address library card. They still have access to their computers. If they have a device, they can use our Wi-Fi. We've got cell phone chargers. They can still check out our uncatalogued materials like paperbacks, board books, magazines, I think is another thing they can check out. And we also have, and I can't remember if all of the branches have it, but I think the majority of the metropolitan branches have a free courtesy phone. So they want to make local calls or toll-free calls.
Do we have one of those here?
Yes.
We do. Okay.
Yeah. So they would have access to a phone if needed. And then I know a few of our branches have had Clean the World Foundation set up. It's kind of like a it looks like a semi truck, but it's got like showers. So if anyone wants a free shower and like hygiene kits and things like that, that's available occasionally. It's not something that happens a lot, but some of our branches have offered that. And then just for the staff, I will say that the district has provided us with the connection to Ryan Dowd. I don't know if the team is aware of who Ryan Dowd is, but he does a lot of trainings for libraries on homelessness, because he is he's an advocate. He's also, I believe, a director at a shelter in the suburbs of Chicago. So he does a lot of training on kind of helping staff learn what it's like to be homeless so that when we interact, we have that knowledge. When you have someone who maybe, like what I tell my staff is, I don't think people wake up and come here to the library to fall asleep on purpose or to act out on purpose, or the reality is they probably haven't slept in a few days, or maybe they haven't eaten in a few days, or maybe they had a argument on the street or something. I don't think they're coming here to purposely lash out at us. So to have some empathy when we do have these interactions, and just remember that they are people, and we should do our best to interact in a way that's professional, and just not have the maybe the awareness that they're homeless.
Right.
Like that shouldn't be part of the equation. It should be the way that we treat everyone, that make sure that they follow the rules of conduct. And if it doesn't work out today, say it's not working out today, but you like take a day off and come back tomorrow. That you can't, be yelling out every 5 minutes, or something like that. It's like, you gotta remember, people are trying to study. So.
Okay. All right, and then the next one's kind of a short question. Does this branch have any community partnerships?
Yeah, we do. We have a few with like the schools. So we take out our team when it's time for summer challenge or winter challenge. It's really hard to get into the schools though, because they have their schedule and it's kind of hard to incorporate us in. So I've been places where it is a frequent kind of service that you go out quite a bit. But I'm finding here in town, it's a little less. It's got to be a big initiative like a summer challenge type of event.
Right. Okay.
Unless there's a one-off where there's a teacher who wants like staff to go and do like electronic resources or something like that, like databases or things like that. Yeah. We are a safe place. All our in town branches are safe places. I don't know if your team's aware of what that is. It's that sign that says safe place, and we service up to, I think it's age 18. We have a partnership with Nevada. Oh my gosh, what is it? Nevada Homeless Youth Partnership, NHYE. NHPY. You can look it up. You can look it up and clarify for your friends. I always forget what the exact acronym. But in the event a teen comes in and says, I don't feel comfortable going home. I have no place to go. I'm scared to get picked up by my mom's boyfriend or whatever it is, then we will contact the partnership. They will send a representative out, and they will kind of interview and make sure that maybe there's something that they can provide that maybe they don't need to go with the representative. But we're kind of like the place they hang out until that person comes, and then they go with that representative and say they are a runaway or homeless, or like they take it on there and tap into their resources. So we're just kind of like a place that can be identified if a team is in need. We do the AARP taxes, so we just finished that up. So that's always a popular partnership. During the pandemic, we had Curative on site. They were doing the COVID testing for the community. So you could go on their website and find out where there was COVID testing, and like Sahara West would be a site. We do blood drives, so Red Cross and some of the other partners in town. I go out to I actually went yesterday to a senior facility where we take the library out to them, because our outreach department is primarily focused on youth. So that was kind of an initiative from admin for us to go out to our senior facilities to continue the service.
Okay. All right, and I know there are so many more.
There's so many
We don't have to list
more,
them
there's
all,
so many
but
more, but you know, on
yeah.
a district level, I'll just say like, Workforce Connections is a really huge partner. We have the business hub at this location.
Yeah.
There's a location that has a youth hub, and then several others have like the work career hub.
Mhm.
So that's a partnership that's been going pretty strongly in the last couple of years. We also have a partnership with RTC, which is our bus line, where you can, I think they have a QR code where people can scan and get like an e-card so they can start downloading the ebooks and things like that. So during the ride.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
Okay. All right. I think we've got a few more questions.
Okay.
Hopefully this isn't taking too long. Okay. So this library used to be known as the official art library of Las Vegas. However, since the floating collection started, it's kind of lost its uniqueness in that regard. How is the Sahara West Library asserting its individuality today?
Well, I mean, we still, even though we don't have the art library any longer, we haven't had it for a long time because that happened in the last recession.
Yeah.
I think it left in 2010. We do have 2 gallery spaces and a side gallery, so really like 3 spaces that are well visited. It is it is very unique. There's always a rotation of new art, and there are also like sculpture pieces throughout the corridor. And it just depends on if there's a request to place something out there. So, I mean, I think we still are kind of known as like the arts, even though we don't maintain a huge art book collection as much. But like I said, we are still known as like a destination location, primarily because of the vastness of the space. You can kind of spread out here. It's not like you're, having to find a table to sit next to somebody you don't know. You can go upstairs. You can go in the corridor. You could get a study room. You could be out on the main floor. There's a lot of natural lighting, which is unique. I feel like if you go to other branches, there's not a lot of natural lighting, and I feel like that really just lends itself to the ambiance and kind of like a zenness to the branch that I feel like you just can't buy that.
Yeah, I can definitely speak for Zen.
Yeah, because you go around a lot.
Yeah.
And you probably know the vibe of a lot of all the branches probably.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that the building looks, to me, the building is a work of art.
Yeah.
It is its own art. There's some really cool things about it. There's also some not cool things about it, like the noise travels. The acoustics can be kind of travel far. There's been times where people have thrown things from the second floor, they landed on the first floor. That doesn't happen as much, but
I think that actually kind of leads into my next question.
Okay.
Libraries of this size aren't very common, at least here in Vegas.
Yeah.
What kind of decisions are made regarding using the space, or concerns or issue with having such a large space?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good and there's some challenges, right? So like the good is that there's a separation of departments. So in a smaller branch, they kind of bleed into each other. And so if you've got a kids program and you've got, adults who just want to work on their laptop, maybe they remote work.
Yes.
It's kind of a challenge, right? Because they're singing songs. Here, there's this separation, so you can kind of create like sort of invisible barriers so that it doesn't travel as much. But also the challenge is then you've got to staff all of these areas. So with a pandemic, there's staff that did not come back. There were staff that took us employee voluntary separation program. And so we are staffed at lower levels than we were pre-pandemic. So like our reader services desk on the second floor was hardly getting staffed, which is unfortunate because that's where our readers are at.
Yeah.
And readers tend to like, there's a variety of readers, right? There's the readers that know what it is, they know the authors they like, they know the series that they want to finish reading. Then there are the readers that want to stop at the desk and say, hey, have you read a good book?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I don't know what to read. They need a little more guidance, right? So that's where the staff plays a crucial role. Also, the presence of staff in areas that, you know, can kind of be kind of cozy and start to drift off, or like their volume on their, you know, they don't realize like the phone volume travels, you know, or if they don't have earbuds for like their laptop, you know, it's like we can hear your YouTube that you're playing, you know, or whatever. So you lose some of that when you don't have the staffing. But you know, we do the best we can. You know, we're fortunate we have a lot of table space and chairs. I don't feel like people ever have to double up on a table like some of our smaller ones, which you've probably seen. You can tell, you know, the team about that.
Yes.
You know, there's things that I could do, but I don't want to do them because I would need the budget and the supportive admin to do some of the things I want to do. And the way that it works here is we do get we can provide input in our budget requests. So once a year, there's a call for what you want, and you can put anything you want. You want staff, which they always say we're probably not going to get staff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or you know, you can ask for things, as many as you want. And then there is a vetting process where admin gets together and then they're like, oh, okay, this would be, you want 10 extra laptops, this goes to IT. You want funding for a signature program, this is going to go to community engagement. So it just goes up the level of to admin, and they make the decision as to what they can fund, or what they think they can fund. And then the whole budget goes to the state to get approved and to the board of trustees. So it's multi-layered. We put things in that are practical and some that maybe are forward thinking. So like one thing that I've always put on there is an enclosed, dedicated computer lab. So Eric, you can explain this to them later, but essentially we have like 3 spaces for our computer center, and the staff face forward and the people are behind them, like toward their backs. So it is not customer service friendly. So I've been advocating for an enclosed space, but because we do have the space, it does kind of work. It's not like a 911 where it's critical, where they have to do something immediately. It's just, to me, it's not good service the way that it's set up right now. Like our reference collection, we used to have we have a vast shelving area for reference materials, and this kind of it goes with what's like future libraries is like there's not a lot being published, or there's not as many things being published as there once was. Because a lot of it is now digital, right? So things that used to come on automatic purchasing plans are really not there anymore. So for example, I had somebody complain, what happened to all your Chilton repair books? You used to have like shelves and shelves of them and you could just come in, and it's like, well, Chilton's has their own online product that we subscribe to. You have access 24/7 to it. But no, like this person wants. And I'm like, a lot of like Chilton's and Haynes auto repairs, like they don't publish like they used to. funnel all of their energy into the digital products. So, sometimes it's out of our hands what we can offer. It's based on the publishing industry and what they're doing and how they're trying to stay viable. And a lot of them have gone digitally.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have a couple more questions,
Yeah,
and then
go
we
for
should
it.
be all good.
Yeah, go for it.
So good on time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. All right. Thank you
Yeah.
again. Okay. Here's the book ban question. How has the library been impacted by book bans and other issues like that going on across the country?
Yeah, where did I have a
Somewhere on
couple
there.
notes? Let's see. Oh, okay. So book bans. So that's something that's I wouldn't say we've had book bans, but we've had challenges. Let me put it that way. So as far as I can remember, I've been in this district since 2002. There's always been a procedure in place from our collection development team as to how to proceed with anyone who wants to challenge any type of item in our collection. So there's a checklist that's for staff on, okay, so basically somebody comes in and they're upset about an item. Here's what you do. So it's kind of spelled out because they want to make sure that you've given the person an opportunity to express what it is they're concerned about. Is it something that you can kind of work with them on? Is it something you can kind of educate them about? Or are they just adamant and they want to take it to the next level?
Right.
So then there's a form that they can fill out that will then get sent to our collection team. They then have, so basically everything that we buy has to have a review. So they then go and they research all of the reviews and pull that together, kind of draft a response to the patron with the concern. And then it goes up to our director, and our director will respond to the request for reconsideration form. So, I mean, that's kind of how we would respond if there were more. I mean, I don't want to jinx this or anything like that, but I will say we have what I know about what's happening in some of the southern states where there's organized movements that I haven't really seen that yet.
This is just kind of an Eric question, a question, but what do you do in the interim? Like, you tell them like, okay, we'll send this up the chain, but they're still like mad, or like, what do you kind of do in that situation?
I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that upset you. We have this process in place because we know that not everything that we offer is for, for everyone. Something that you find offensive, I might not find offensive, and likewise, something I find offensive, you might not find offensive. So, we understand that, and that's why we have this process in place. And so we will forward it to our administrative team to review, and they'll be the ones to respond. And if you need anything, feel free to call me. That usually kind of settles their immediate anger or frustration or concerns that they have, knowing that someone at a higher level is going to respond.
Right.
But I don't, it's really a matter of it's basically you just want them to know that you hear their concern, that you are taking it seriously, that it is going to be addressed. And it may not be the answer that they want, right?
Yeah.
Because likewise, the same thing when somebody has a concern or they're angered by their interaction with a staff member. It could be that there's just something that's off, and maybe someone's having a bad day, or on either side, or they're not getting the response that they want, and so to them it looks like poor customer service. So a lot of times they'll just say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. that doesn't seem characteristic of Eric to talk to people in that manner. But I will follow up with his, supervisor, and I'll also check in and excuse me, were you able to get, the document you want to print it? If not, I can have someone do that for you. And that sort of seems to appease the person. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's almost like after doing it for a while, you kind of develop sort of like a template, and I hate to use that word, but it's the only thing I can think of right now. Like kind of like a process that you go through that seems to have worked, that you kind of cultivated over time. That seems to, all the things that seem to work, you kind of pull that together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, my movie screens are very similar. I know the wording to use, when people ask this question, okay, this answer usually gets to this reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes when people are watching something or they're reading it, it's like two different experiences, right? Like if you're reading it, you can just kind of like flip through it fast, right? But when you have to watch something like play out, I don't know why people just don't stop the movie. Especially if they're checking out a DVD. If you're triggered by something, stop the movie. Return it. And that's what I always tell people, like, you don't ever have to finish the book. Don't ever finish the book if it's not for you. Don't ever force yourself to watch something. It doesn't, it's not like we're getting compensated or anything for if you complete it. It just may not be for you. And sometimes people are offended by the visual, but maybe not the language or the description in a book, or vice versa. Maybe they are offended by the language in the book. And then it's like, maybe that author is not for you. Let's see what else we can find that maybe would better suit you.
I think if a lot of people took that advice, we would have a lot less issues.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're upset by a lifestyle that's portrayed in a book, don't check out that book.
Pretty easy.
It's pretty easy, right? But I think what happens sometimes, especially when it comes to like teens that do read something that their parent objects to, it's maybe they're not ready to have a conversation with their kid, or they've been avoiding a conversation with their kid. Because these are, adult, more like formative type of conversations that they're going to have with their kids. And I mean, I always tell them, look, we're not here to parent your child. I'm glad that you care enough to come in with your child. And that's exactly the way we prefer it, because you should be the one to decide what your child reads. And if you feel like they're not ready for it, then by all means, you have that ability with your child, but know that the library has a lot of materials. And in my head I have a whole other thing, like they're gonna go to college and then they're gonna be they're really gonna what I mean. And a lot of times I tell them, like, look, my parents were pretty strict, but I was like an accelerated reader. So like in sixth grade, I was reading Stephen King or Flowers in the Attic by Andy Sanders type of thing. It's just, but they were always like, okay, you can keep reading, but like if you have questions, ask, or don't say those words, to your siblings or at school or anything like that. So that was the deal, was like, don't act out when you're reading. But had they said, you're reading what? And like said, no, I can't read any longer, I think that my whole life would have been impacted by that decision.
Okay. All right, I think we have one last question. I think we already touched on it a little bit too before. But what policies we have in place to respond to patrons having mental health crises?
Well, okay, so just a little bit of insight here. The policy, so policies in our district means like it's been crafted by admin and it's gone before the board to be approved. So when we say policy, that's what we mean here. A lot of times we use guidelines because those are things that we kind of develop internally, and we don't have to go to the board to approve. So that would be one thing I would recommend to the team, like if you go to a district, find out what that means within the district. So I don't usually use policy in practice, because I don't ever create anything that is going to go to the board to be approved. So usually
Still there, Lo?
Yeah, still there. Can you hear me?
I can, yep.
so like the mental health crisis is kind of like falls in that same Narcan question where, again, it's just someone in crisis, and it depends on what the crisis is. So if it's somebody who is in a corner yelling at the wall, we're gonna approach them like, hi, are you doing okay? Is there something I can help you with? And if they're like, no, leave me alone, it's like, oh, okay, well, I just, I'm just concerned because, I heard some yelling over here, and want to make sure you're okay. If you're having a challenge, just let me know. But I need you to do me a favor. I need you to just kind of turn it down, because, we've got people on the other tables who are trying to, do their work, and the sound is just permeating the whole room. So
Yeah.
just take it down a few notches, and if you need anything, just let me know. If it's somebody who's just not even aware of what I'm saying, they cannot comprehend any of it, they start banging on the wall, it's definitely another 911 situation. Because it's something that I don't know if it's going to escalate, how it's going to escalate. I don't know if this person needs something medically to help them. Again, I'm not trained in that area, so it would be a 911 call. And then they usually will tell us what to do in the interim and what they're going to do.
Right.
Are they going to send something out, or is it going to be medical? Is it going to be police? That sort of thing. Sometimes I find that people who are in crisis, it's interesting because when we approach people, a lot of times, again, I think it is how you approach people. And that's where I think the writing down trainings have been really helpful.
Yeah.
It's not assuming someone's doing something bad, or that somebody has taken something or is on something. You never assume when you approach people. We're just kind of in an observing state, unless they are harming themselves, harming somebody else. With that aside,
Yeah.
the way we approach people is we assume nothing. So a lot of times when we say, hey, are you doing okay? Because your head was down on the table, I never say you were sleeping and they're still sleeping in the library.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I just want to make sure you're okay, because we've had some people with medical crisis, and if you need assistance, we need to know kind of soon. So
yeah,
we can get that for you. And they'll be like, no, and I wasn't sleeping. I was like, I didn't say you were sleeping. I was just make sure you're okay. But in some situations, I have seen where people go that route. And you can't sleep, and we'll call the police. And it's always fascinating that the person always says, not always, but a lot of times they say, just call the police. I'm going to call the police. Okay, you could call the police, but like, I don't want to call the police because that's not my intent.
Yeah.
It's like, if you call the police and they come, they may take you away, and I don't want that. So it's interesting sometimes, the interactions.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be the opposite. Like, don't call the police, don't get them involved. But instead, like the first, if you ever look at the incident reports,
really,
read those sometimes, and like that seems to be a recurring thing.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know either. I don't really know, because I would feel like they would have a distrust, maybe, or a little apprehension about bringing the police in. that seems to be a response that I get quite a bit, like call the police. It's like, well, especially with the mandates, like the mask mandate.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, call the police. It's like, they're gonna take you away. I don't want that for you.
Yeah.
Could you just like wear it for the 5 minutes that you're in here? That'd probably be a better way to do it.
I'm glad we're past that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, I think those are the questions I have. Lo, do you have any other questions or anything like that?
In the chat.
No, the questions I had in the chat were already answered.
Okay, perfect. The audio's working now, right at the end, which is like,
Is what it is,
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
Where are you guys in the program?
For myself, this is my second semester.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is Info 204.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is my second semester as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
both pretty early into it. Yeah.
Let me see, what advice can I give you? I mean, I have a lot of questions, but it's more of a curiosity thing. I'm always curious as to why people choose to go into the profession. And if you're coming from, if you have a work history that's not correlated to libraries, like what has brought you to the point where you're going to library school? And then a little piece of advice on that is if you do, as you start your job searching, make sure you do your cover letter and your resume. And in your cover letter, kind of connect the dots for the interview or the people who are looking at your app package, because that's always one of the things that I find fascinating because I'm on a lot of interview panels. There's no cover letter, or the cover letter just doesn't really connect the dots. And I'm like, so you're a nurse and you went to library school and you want to work here at Sahara West, but why? Like, how did you get here to this point? Like, even if the cover letters that kind of stand out to me are the ones that say something about, my grandmother used to take me to the library. It's always been a place of comfort and good memories for me. I started my career in XYZ, but I always felt a connection to the libraries, and I just want to explore that. And I went to library school and I loved it, and I'm excited. I enjoy working with people and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps a lot in the process. So that's just something, a little tip for your team.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
No. I mean, if your team were up and stuff, I would probably ask more questions. But
yeah, sure.
But it's just kind of fun to see where people are at and be excited that there are people who want to enter the profession. It's changed a lot. I've been very fortunate because I got to be a part of it kind of on the tail end of like the card catalog, kind of as like databases started to become a thing. Before they were like on CDs,
right?
Reference Solutions was, oh my gosh, I can't remember how it started. It was like on a CD, and then it got uploaded like on a platter, and so we had limited access to it like on an info station, and then now it's just you can access it from anywhere. Yeah, it's all there. So I've kind of been like on both sides of like print and digital. So it's been really exciting. And I feel like it's really helped me to see things on different levels. So I'm curious to see what it will look like in 10, 15, 20 years. One of the things that I do sense from the public is that, especially like in the community meetings for like the new branch that they're building in West Las Vegas, is when they present like the plans, you'll see a lot of tech, a lot of maker areas, a lot of just open spaces. And what I always hear is, where are the books?
Yeah.
This to me looks like maybe the YMCA or like a Boys and Girls Club, or like the public that is remembers libraries as a place of going in to research and to study and how they grew up, right? You know, so with books and having access to a variety of items, not seeing those items. So I think that will be kind of like the challenge for the future library. It's how, but at some point, right, it might phase out, right? Because there are a lot of digital natives now, right? And they don't, maybe they aren't as familiar with libraries, or maybe they need to go to story time growing up. So I think that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I do think about that because, you know, at the references, we get a lot of calls from elderly people looking for specific things, looking at them. And I think like as we continue, there's going to be a lot more elderly people that just kind of already know how to do that.
One would think, but when you're in the computer lab, there are a lot of people who still do not have basic computer skills.
Yeah.
And it's not until they need like a social security card reprint, or they have to apply for a job online, that you realize that there's still a lot of people with that. There's still a divide, a digital divide.
Yeah.
And not everyone can have internet at home. I think that's why our hotspots are so popular. But I also find that one thing that people have struggled with creating at home is a learning environment. And so like our study rooms here are always in use. We have just FYI, we have I think it's 8 study rooms, and they're in use all the time.
Yeah.
And people are proprietary about them. Like they want to stay in it as long as they can. So I find it fascinating that people would rather put themselves in a room with no windows, just a table and chairs, and four walls, and just like be in there for like as long as they can be. And I think it's a great day outside. You could be outside, you know, just go to the park or go somewhere where you can find that sort of quietness. But and it has to be quiet. Like if they hear any sound bleed from like the next room, like they get upset about that. So I'm fascinated by people's behaviors and what it is that brings them to the library, and what they can't create on their own.
Yeah. And speaking for myself, I know one of the reasons why I'm going for this degree is not because I believe libraries are going to be phased out and they're going to be, you know, pointless in a couple of years. It's because I believe people are always going to have they're always going to find a way to get here, always going to find a reason to come here.
Yeah, of course, because they wouldn't even have the program anymore, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to get the degrees they felt like libraries were doing.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. They maybe want your money, but but no, I mean, I think it's going to evolve into something, but you never know. Sometimes, like even with like the digital native kids and teens, like when they have to do like a required reading or a classic or something, it's like, oh, you know, you could get that on ebook like right now, but I don't have like a physical copy. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll wait for the physical copy because I don't want to read it on my phone or whatever. It's like they want to break, because they are so digitally connected.
And I think we're actually seeing that a lot with a lot of like Gen Zers and stuff like that. Like no more social media, and I think, I don't know, it's all a circle.
Yeah, it's all a circle.
Technology, no technology.
Like we have a vinyl club where people come and listen to records.
Yeah.
And we're trying to like launch like a.
Oh, that's really cool. Who's doing that one?
Josh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he does it once a month.
Oh, that's really cool.
And people can bring their records and have them clean, or they can bring their, you know, AirPods and earbuds and listen to like hook up to the records and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's not something you expect the library to be doing.
Yeah.
But there are other libraries out there and that we took inspiration from to start that up.
It's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to talk to Josh about that.
Yes. All right.
Okie doke.
Anything else? You guys have questions, you can just shoot me an email.
Of course.
Eric.
Yeah.
Pull up.
Awesome. Okay. And then we're all good on your end, Lo?
All good on my end.
Okay.
It's crazy. We can-
I know, it's like perfect now. Like, that's so funny. Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like
whatever.
things happen. Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's actually pretty good time. Yeah, sorry, we went a little bit over, it seems.
That's all right.
No, we really do appreciate your time. Thank you for talking to us about this. And this is definitely helpful for our project, and
Yeah.
the rest of our team will enjoy this.
Right. Go back to the desk.
Right, we're all good to end.
Yep, we're all good.
Perfect. Right, thank you so much.